Asia's safest bet, regulation or revenue?
All right. Are you ready? Now, hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is a very interesting segment of our conference. Yes, this is going to be a debate, but I want to make it, so we will start today with two options. How do Asia's iGaming grow? Is it regulations or is it revenue first? And of course, as Trudy mentioned, we will start this as a debate. And we will start with our audience. Please scan the code and make sure to pick your vote because we will know and we want to know your thoughts. Is it regulation first credibility or is it revenue first expansion that will drive the long-term strategy for Asia's iGaming industry? Please cast your vote. And we have our distinguished guests in the stage who will, of course, give their insights in this very interesting debate. Whoa. Wow. The gap is saying it all. The gap is saying it all. And I'm surprised. I'm surprised about this result. Very, very interesting. Now, okay, I can see some people still casting their vote, picking an answer. We will show the result on the screen, but joining me today are two industry leaders with very different perspectives. First, we have Steve Tsao, General Partner at Yolo Investments, representing the revenue first perspective, and joining him, just right by his side, is Ray Lee, Director of Business Development at TaDa Gaming, representing the regulation first perspective. Well, Ray, I think you have a lot of people backing you up here right now. But we'll see at the end of this session if we will still see that gap on the screen. All right? So we will start this debate by giving Steve and Ray the chance to explain their stand. I will start with Steve. Steve, where is the real money being made in Asia today? And why does speed matter more than structure? And why revenue first expansion is the key for the long-term strategy in this vast region?
So let me share my context first. I'm talking from the point of view as an investor, as an allocator of capital. Where do I want to put my money? Why and to whom? And I'm coming from the background as an investor and as a builder. So I have built in regulated markets, and I have built in, I think the word we use is pre-regulated markets as well. I invest across both of them. I think all markets, whether it's Asia, US, Europe, finds its way. We're in a room of gamblers in the gambling and betting industry. Make no mistake about it. So it finds its way to the customers, and then you got to figure out how you want to regulate it. There is probably minimally $50 billion in online for Asia. Realistically, it's probably closer to $100 billion. Which government and how is going to enforce and regulate that without resources? So it's a chicken and the egg type of thing. Revenue will always come first because that's what drives the requirement and the capabilities for regulation and enforcement.
Is that always the case, though, Ray? You know, I want to bring you in here. So Steve said revenue comes first and then regulation follows. But why do fast growth strategies become vulnerable once regulation catches up?
Oh, I think when become vulnerable because of the regulations has been really complicated for both. I think for both B2B side and also the B2C sides. So when it becomes complicated, which means that the processing procedures will be more and more and more. That's why it becomes vulnerable. Also about the tax. That I mean, before like Steve said, like the revenue first, but then when it comes to regulations, it will become vulnerable because of the tax issue from the government, and that's why it becomes vulnerable. But also, I think as for the regulation markets, it's for the long-term strategies. But I did indeed agree with Steve that it will have the revenue first before before the regulation comes.
All right, you know what? After Steve answered the first question, I've noticed that people actually voted, a couple of votes went to the revenue first. Now, as you are seeing the screen, we're hiding the poll first because we will bring it back at the end of this session to see whether our audience will switch. Earlier, we've seen that everyone agrees, oh, we need regulation first. But I'm seeing some people are changing their minds now. Well, Steve, let's push this a little further. Critics of revenue first expansion say it works brilliantly until enforcement starts. What do you say to operators who suddenly lose an entire market because they scaled too aggressively?
Yeah, I think the question is directed at matters, right? So if you are a entrepreneur with nothing to lose, go hunt. Don't sit around and read or whatever. Go figure things out. Go hunt. Because as an investor, as an allocator of capital looking for entrepreneurs, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not waiting for you to like tweet your thumbs and find the safest scenarios. Even you're really talking about Asia. So how many regulated markets are you talking about here? One, the one you're in right now. Because name another one. So what are we talking about here? And in the market that you're sitting in right now, there's 61 local licenses issued. How many are actually operating it successfully? So, and then how do they become successful? So I'll leave that to you guys.
That's something that we really need to think about. Ray, I'm gonna ask you this. Is there also a danger that regulation-first operators become too slow and lose relevance entirely?
I want to answer Steve first for the questions that before. I know that Philippines are one of the regulations markets in the whole Asian markets. As I'm from TaDa Gaming here, but also I want to speak with for GD Games. It's also a part of the group, and we are the top game providers in the whole Philippine markets. And I think around the world right now, a lot of markets have become more regulated. So I do believe that maybe like Thailand is still negotiating to being regulated or not. So I do think that our revenue comes first, but as for long-term strategies, will definitely be regulation markets. That's a long-term strategies for that.
Yeah, with Asia, right? Especially with Asia.
Yes, like imagine like after, I don't know, 2, 3, 5 years ago, 5 years after, because like the iGaming, it's very fast, change very fast. So you can never predict a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But and also when it comes to regulations, you will also have the people in the country that to know more about iGaming. For example, like I'm from Taiwan. In Taiwan, maybe not a lot of people know about slots, but
Yeah.
everyone knows about mahjong. So, but if you go to Europe, everyone knows about roulettes, everyone knows about slots because they get used to play all of that, but maybe not in Asia yet.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more popular and popular and popular. So when the government sees that things, and they will go for the regulations, and if you are not prepared for that, you will be, you know, not ready for the ready ones. Yeah.
Right. Now, I want to talk about investor behavior now. Because, because capital now and investors often say one thing publicly and another privately. We're all in the business here, right? In the industry. Steve, what are investors actually rewarding in Asia right now?
I think there's the multiple levels to this, but I'll focus on two. One is as a strategic investor, as a venture capitalist, what am I looking for? And I said that at the beginning. I'm looking for builders. I'm looking for builders that are problem solvers and not waiting for the full problem to be developed while other people are solving it. Okay? Now, if you're asking about does the public market rewarding wise, I think in Asia, then you're talking very few, I think just a handful of companies here that are publicly listed. So if you want to look at a valuation multiple that I think, I'm not an expert in that, and I don't think there's enough data sets for anybody to actually be an expert about it. I think if you're looking at it in the US market or the UK market, so I also ran a New York listed company before on the cross section of this field. So I don't think it's a highly rewarded valuation to multiple in this industry per se. And I would also say this because I have shareholders and partners previously, we've gone through these discussions. It's like, oh, we're preparing a company for listing. I'm like, why? I have done a few listings before. You list when you need money. If you know what you're doing in this industry, you don't need money. So I haven't had a company in this space that I required public support on.
All right, all right. Now, Ray, do institutional investors genuinely prioritize compliance? Or do they ultimately still choose growth?
Sorry, again? Compliance in?
Yes. So do institutional investors prioritize compliance or institutional investors prioritize growth?
I think compliance.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to regulated markets, compliance is very important. But even though we need to make sure, as a long-term strategy ones, we need to make sure that those companies or those people have a background check, And I think also one of the problems in the Asian markets is there's no compliance in here most of the times. So I do think that compliance will be more important in the future. Yes.
How about you, Steve? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think even before debate, we had discussions on this. I said, it depends on who you're asking and when you're asking, okay? So, like the Philippines has rules and regulations against illegal operators and enforcement. Would I ever recommend somebody to come here without trying that? Absolutely not. Would I invest in somebody that's trying to come into an established framework with enforcement? Absolutely not. And I think a lot of it is driving towards regulation. But without a path to that, the choice is yours in terms of if you want to make money or just wait until you're a lot older and maybe something will happen and something might not. But what I said in the beginning is revenue is going to drive the need for the regulation, and the regulation means shit without enforcement. The license is only worth as much as the government's ability to enforce against the avalanche of $50 to $100 billion. Do you expect normal taxpayers to provide the defense antibodies for that, or do you want the industry that is being regulated and taxed to pay for that? It's a chicken and the egg thing, as I said in the beginning. It starts with revenue, it'll lead to regulation, and the enforcement cycle, well, the people in this room will always get smarter and smarter also.
All right. Now, one uncomfortable reality in Asia is the gray and offshore markets, and maybe with Steve's term, pre-regulated markets. You know, it still generates enormous revenue. I've authored the Sigma Asia Market Report, and yes, bulk of that, I'll say 80%, or maybe I'm being generous, maybe 90% are in that area. The gray, offshore, unregulated, pre-regulated, whatever term you want. Now, Steve, why do those markets remain so attractive despite the risks?
So I think of a few things here. You have your Curacao, Anjouan, Malta licensees out there pitching. I saw some new licenses out there I never even heard of. None of them mean shit, dude. It only matters if the license is from the country you're making revenue from. Like, otherwise, you try and go explain to them how my license from some country with like 3 people allows you to make money in your country. You go make money, but have no mistake in your mind that you're a licensed operation. It's your justification for your payment providers to accept your money. And there's a plausible liability business logic there. But, sorry, what was the question?
Why do, offshore gray markets remain attractive despite the risk?
Out of like $100 billion, how much of it is licensed, do you think? 5, 10? I doubt it. I don't even think it's 10.
Yeah.
And then, in terms of listed valuation, how much is that? Even a smaller percentage of that. So, if you've been here in the previous years, you know what you're seeing today is probably a third or quarter of what it was in the past. A lot of the names, a lot of the brands are not here. So, this isn't a question of right or wrong. It's just people finding opportunities to service customers with a demand.
Yeah.
And if you're not there making that money, well, there's a lot of other people out there making the money.
All right, now Ray, this is an important question. Can fully regulated operators realistically compete on acquisition costs and margins? Can fully regulated operators realistically compete on acquisition costs and margins?
Well, I think this really depends on which regulated markets. I want to answer the question before Steve as well. I think why gray or offshore is still attractive to investors or like to those iGaming stocks, right? Because it really depends on the markets. There's still a lot of places that with huge populations, but they are not regulated. So there's money's out there. So why not, right? And also depends on the market. For example, for German or like for UK, I don't know. Like there's so many restrictions on the players. I'm a gambler myself, so if I go to a casino and they limit my bets or they tell me don't play every 1 minute, I will go to I will do other casino, of course. So, but in Philippines, it's different. I think the regulated Philippine markets, it's bigger than the gray or the offshore one. Depends on if the government wants to play smart or they want to make their to B2B or BD sites become complicated or something. So I think these questions really depends on the markets. So I really can answer you very correctly. But for my experiences, since TaDa Gaming, it's for we got all the license already among the world, and we certify our games for like over 15 markets. So I'm pretty familiar with all the regulation markets about the tax restrictions and everything regulations. So for this answer will be depending on the markets. So there's no
Yes,
100%
Steve,
sure.
you want to add to
Just
that?
to build on Ray's point, it's enforcement. Enforcement is an evolving cycle, and then one of the key things that hasn't been discussed is the enforcement is usually at the payment layer. It's when money is touched that is usually where real enforcement happens. The stuff regarding affiliates and operators are typically not as criminal as money. So now the trick in today's market is crypto, because once it's on crypto, then a government's ability to enforce and monitor and capture those payments is much more challenging for modern governments globally.
All right.
Yeah.
No, you mentioned crypto, and crypto, it's basically, it means it's on the blockchain, and basically governments can trace, right? That's.
So I am actually investing in advising governments and businesses to help on those enforcement efforts, and I'm interested in those opportunities on enforcement because I kind of know, because I taught a lot of other people how to find ways through the forest.
Right. No, and I'd like to add to that. Okay, this is an open discussion as well. Of course, we started it as a debate. We'll end it as a debate because we'll divide the house. But again, I'll mention the Sigma Asia Market Report, which I authored, and you can download. Actually, you go to our website, you can download it, and you'll find that the top 10 iGaming operators in Asia are from the Philippines. They're regulated. And then the rest are, of course, are operating in various jurisdictions. Some are even operating 7 or 8 jurisdictions. But I guess it will support Ray's point there that when there's regulation, there's opportunity to grow, right? Now, let's make this more direct. I will ask a question, 3 questions each. I'll start with Steve. Is compliance becoming an excuse for weak execution? You've mentioned execution there. Enforcement as well.
I think weak execution should get the F out of the room. Whatever excuse they have, I don't really care. They may use compliance as an excuse, but they won't have a job. So.
All right. Why do some regulated operators still underperform financially?
This is me?
Yes, still with you.
I think kind of similar to my original answer. You got to find the right people that can actually build rather than find excuses.
Last, which Asian markets reward aggressive expansion most right now? I'm guessing you'll say, well, of course, I'll let you answer that.
I'll save that for my portfolio companies.
All right. I'll go to Ray. 3 questions, Ray. Can aggressive expansion ever create sustainable enterprise value?
Yes.
All right. Very straightforward answer there. What's the biggest mistake fast growth operators make?
The biggest mistake?
Biggest mistake.
When it comes to regulation or just
In general.
In general. Probably same with Steve. You need to find the right right people to work and to understand that to work. I think all the markets like this, you need to find the right people like to actually know the markets to make that work.
It's not just like gaming. It's
it's just like gaming. It's like
Yeah.
yes.
All right, last question. Do regulators ultimately determine who survives in Asia?
Like who survives in Asia?
Yes. Do regulators ultimately decide who survives in Asia?
Yes, of course. Yes, I think in Asian regulated markets, I think of course yes.
Yes.
Can I
And do
give
you
you-
want to answer that? Of course, you can.
I'll give you an example. There is a president of a very big country, very big country.
Okay,
that
we're not
his
mentioning.
his sons are on the board of directors and investors of two like very big prediction market companies that have the license. And also they also started a few wars recently, left and right. But yeah, I think they get to decide who wins if it's part of their family. So that's also the nature of politics and governments everywhere,
Yeah.
mostwhere. So good luck.
Yeah, this one I stands for Steve. It's true.
All right, we'll have this time we'll have a quick fire round. Short answers only. First instinct. All right? First instinct. Okay. Let's not put the poll first. Just a quick fire round. All right? Steve, what matters most in 2026? Market share or regulatory trust?
Revenue growth rate.
Ray, one market everyone is watching too closely. One market could be in Asia or worldwide. Yes, everyone's watching right now. First top of mind.
Philippines.
Philippines?
Yeah, Philippines, of
Okay,
course.
I'm very happy to hear that. Woo! Steve, one market not enough people are paying attention to.
Yeah.
Top of mind, top of mind.
Vietnam.
Vietnam, okay. Ray, what kills more operators? Slow execution or poor compliance? Pick one.
Slow execution.
Steve, will offshore models still dominate parts of Asia 5 years from now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Ray, if you had to advise a new operator entering Asia today, move fast or build carefully?
I think both.
Just
Or,
one
move,
answer.
move fast, because I mean
Move
in Asian
fast.
markets we're pretty efficiency, so I think move fast.
All right, now let's bring back that audience poll. I am inviting everyone to get your phones up, scan that QR, and cast your vote. Wow. Wow, Steve, Ray, look at that. Did it switch? It switched. We started with our audience saying it should be regulations first, but then now, oh, it's still moving, Now, really close. I know it's a tough debate, very interesting one. All right, maybe I'll cast a final vote in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Any more votes? 1. Okay. Interesting. Revenue first expansion. And now regulation first, credibility comes in second. Any thoughts, gentlemen? I'll start with Ray. Final thoughts, of course, before we close this.
I think I discussed Steve before. I mean, like a pre-meeting, like we discussed a lot. I remember like it's not like a debating. It's like more like a talking. Like we just conversationally talking. Then so either way, I think up to you guys to choose like which ones you think is for the first expansion. But I think there's no right answer for that. Yeah.
Totally, Steve. Final words.
I think regulation is key, but it's dependent on enforcement, and it depends on who the question is posed towards. If you're a big listed company, yeah, follow the rules. If you're an entrepreneur looking for opportunities to make money, you make your own decisions. You assess your own risks. Was Uber legal across the world when they started? Was Airbnb, so on and so forth? Facebook ads across the world in different markets. So there are risks in whatever you do if you want to push forward, innovate, and be fast. So good luck.
No, and I want to say, yes, we started it as a debate. We want to present to you, our audience, two different sides. But as you've noticed, we can, of course, agree at one point and disagree at another. But as Ray said, there's no right or wrong answer, right? And I really like, okay, yes, it depends really on the markets. And so I would like to thank Ray and Steve for really sharing their insights, for answering my quick fire round questions, and to the audience for participating in this debate. Thank you so much, and I'll see you around. Enjoy the rest of the summit. Give them a round of applause, please.
Thank you
very
so much
nice.
to Jenny. Thank you to Ray and Steve. That was a very lively discussion, I have to say. Absolutely brilliant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sigma Stage here at Sigma Asia 2026.